Citizens of the Reject Nation, as you may have heard of late, things are a little bit rocky. Over at Warner Brothers DC, we've got a lot of announcements. We've heard a lot of cancellations. We've heard a lot about reboots. We've got movies still coming out. We got movies in post-production. There's a lot going on, but I think there is a solution that they might do that would solve the reboot problem, the Matt Reeves Batman problem, and make the current fans of the DCEU happy, and it's all comic book canon. This is that journey. I'm going to explain it all, but first, please leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think about this grand reboot idea. That'll be very interesting for all parties involved. Please do hit that subscription bell. It'll notify you of other videos just like this one. Also, please follow me on TikTok, where I give all sorts of 15-second, 30-second, 1-minute, 3-minute short form versions of videos just like this, full of comic nerd savvy, and to talk about movies and stuff. Let's dive into how to reboot the DCEU. So with Batgirl canceled and Black Adam, Flash, Shazam, Aquaman, Joker 2, Peacemaker Season 2, and another few things up in the air, we've heard David Zaslav does want an MCU-esque 10-year plan going forward, looking to reboot the DC Universe. But with certain things in production, certain other things in post-production, certain things with release dates, what does that look like? How do you reboot while also making the OG fans happy? And how do you do that with the Matt Reeves Batman carrying on, which it does seem to be? Now, there is a comic solution to this, and I think it would be the strength of both DC and Marvel. I think this would utilize everything Marvel is doing well, but also be the strength that DC has had the last few years. Now, personally, one of the things I've really enjoyed about DC is that they've let the movies live and breathe on their own. I like, personally, that the Shazam movie felt like an old Amblin film mixed with comic book elements, and the Batman movie felt like a David Fincher film. Those movies would never work in the same universe. I also enjoyed the fact that I could watch Peacemaker, that could be rated R, and that felt completely separate of everything except the Suicide Squad. I do honestly think Batman and Joker in those separate movies never meeting was a strength of DC, because that's a lot like the comic books. There are different continuities. But when you've got Marvel, when you've got the strength of Marvel, you make it that you can't miss a film, right? It's an installment. It's almost a long-form TV series. If you miss an episode, you'll get what's going on, but it won't be as fulfilling. So Marvel has made a lot of must-watch television through Disney+, as well as must-watch movies where you care about every single character on the roster, at least enough to go see it in theater. I understand why the DC Universe wants to mirror the strengths of Marvel. Marvel looked at the greater MCU and went, hey, this is only so sustainable. If we don't let the directors make their vision, if everything feels similar to each other, that can be a pro and a con, and Multiverse of Madness let Sam Raimi, for the most part, make a giant Sam Raimi film, but Marvel fans got a little fan entitlement and wanted more of what the trailer showed, which was a lot of the multiverse stuff we'd already seen. Now, that's a tricky line to walk, because Marvel's trying to give the fans what they want. They listen to the fans, they read the message boards, they're very engaged, but inherently you can't give everyone everything they want if you're living in this one big sandbox. You can't let Sam Raimi make a full-on Sam Raimi film and also have it be the multiverse madness that a lot of fans expect. And I think that was also somewhat of an issue with the Taika Waititi film, having it be so versed in comedy and drama, but also being a Thor film that has to carry on the MCU. So what I would do is I would make one more DCEU film. I would have Black Adam and Shazam duke it out, and maybe have a Shazam 3 or a Black Adam 2 where that got brought together. I would leave that over here. I know they've got scenes of the Snyder films in that movie, but that personally would be its own thing. I would have Aquaman and the Flash come out. If they want the Flash to come out, have that be the last thing leading, especially since that's a Flashpoint movie, to a Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, in the comic books, this is how you reset continuity. DC has done it a number of times. After a long enough run of comic books, people get sick of a certain idea. People get sick of a character acting a certain way. People get sick of this longer run of continuity. It's very intimidating sometimes to buy an issue 612. Sometimes you want to go buy an issue number 1. If a comic's been running for a certain amount of time, the number feels intimidating to dive into, and the characterization feels intimidating to try to invest in. So you reboot. And the way DC does that is through this crisis concept. Do that with the movies. Make one more movie and make it be the Secret Wars that I think we're leading to in Marvel, but for DC. And they've already done this on TV. There was a Crisis event on TV that was very successful. And if you do this for the movies, bring Henry Cavill back. Have that one more appearance of Superman. Have your multiple Batmans with Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck. Have all the things we've wanted to see these characters get to do, much like the Snyder Cut. Have that big epic, and Bring in the TV show characters. I almost guarantee Stephen Amell would come back to play Arrow if it's in a movie that brings all this together. I almost guarantee that after season 9 of Flash, which feels kind of convenient, Grant Gustin could play this character one more time. We'd get this big moment. Have an epic event, the likes of which we're getting in a few years of Secret Wars. Spend the money. I know it's going to be insane, like $250 million, but the way you wrap that movie is you have the biggest Hall H or fandom announcement of all time by having that continuity wiped out and have a new 52-esque team introduced at the end of that movie. Have your cast of the new universe revealed in a giant new Justice League. That way, the way DC wants to run into things is by having, their Justice League movie from the jump. We saw with the last iteration, they did Man of Steel right into Batman vs. Superman, right into Justice League. Have the Justice League fully formed. We all know Batman's origin. I don't need to see another set of pearls break. We all know who Superman is, but we don't want to see the same iteration. If they want to reboot, give them a comic canon reboot that takes place right at the very end, and there's your new characters, and then what you do is you have a universe that's the Justice League shared universe, DCEU in the truest sense. Have a DC extended universe that a lot of people have wanted, that it sounds like David Zaslav wants. A shared universe a la the MCU. But what you can do with a Crisis on Infinite Earths is you also keep over here a disjointed DC Black Label universe. In the comic books, there's an entirely different imprint, and the books are actually physically different. They don't look like regular comic books. Some of them do, but most of them are more of an album shape. They're squared off. They feel like more of a book. And it's a comic book that's R-rated. It is a Black Label book that's a completely different continuity. It's all the same characters, but it's not the same continuity, and they typically are darker. Here is where you have Matt Reeves' Batman, where you have Todd Phillips' Joker, where you continue the Shazam and Black Adam storyline, where you keep going with Plastic Man's story that we've been teased for years. Have the directors get to make their vision with their individual characters and literally just call it something else. Call it the Black Label films. Call it DC something else, and you have what DC's been doing incredibly, which is letting directors share their vision over here. And then you've got the shared universe of DC characters in this Justice League film, and you reboot however you choose. Now, what I'm hoping they do is they have Green Lantern exist over here as the space copy's meant to be. That character should never interact with Robert Pattinson's Batman, nor should he necessarily interact with Black Adam. You also have a new Batman and Superman that don't have the history of them having fought. Yes, Batman and Superman fought in the comic. It didn't make sense then in that medium, and that medium's a lot more forgiving. It's a guy fighting an all-powerful alien. It's a rich dude. I know there's that canon of if Batman had long enough to plan, he could beat anybody. It doesn't make sense that Bruce Wayne could even fight to a standstill with Clark Kent. It doesn't make sense. What I would do, is have the already established world of gods that the DC represent. And you have Batman as our eye line. He's the guy that's looking around at this world that he's trying to navigate. He's the world's greatest detective. He's the smartest guy. Have your new Batman trying to navigate this world of DC. It's not going to be fun to lose this incredible team of actors and filmmakers like Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot and all these people. But if you're going to reboot, do it from a place where everyone's on the same page, and then do what Marvel has been doing in their phase 3, 4, and going forward. Have a movie come out a quarter. Have this all scheduled out. Have a 10-year plan that literally introduces these characters in a crisis event, and then one movie come out after another. Hit that winter movie, hit the spring, hit the summer, hit the fall, and then grow out universe quickly, but have these characters already established, because we don't need another origin. But again, shared universe here, DC Black Label here. Have your cake and eat it too. Let one universe be shared. Let one universe be this director's vision. And that way you literally thrive in both realities. I think a Crisis movie could give us all of this. I think I want to see more of Peacemaker. I think I want to see more of Matt Reeves' Batman. I think I want to see 2 separate universes. And this is something they can do if they just make one more movie, and that movie is already comic canon. So I think in your one shared universe, you lean into the Easter eggs, you lean into this shared world, you lean into all the things, does make the MCU thrive. And in the other universe, you have that Guillermo del Toro Justice League Dark movie we never got. We get all these other opportunities, and I think that's what we need to look at these movies as, is this is an adaptation of a comic book. It's not a translation of a comic book. The comic book medium allows for more suspension of disbelief because you're the one painting the moving pictures. When you look at a comic book, the space between the panels is your imagination, your creativity. When you look at a movie, that's someone showing you their vision of the story. That's someone painting the picture for you. They're giving you this delivery. You need to understand that when you're making a shared universe. And I think that's the benefit of starting over, is knowing that going forward allows you to make things so it's not as unbelievable as Batman and Superman fighting. So it's not as disparate as someone that's that's a street level somehow just now encountering Green Lantern. Make a universe where the suspension of disbelief is equal across all the Justice League characters, and then make another universe where Zatanna makes as much sense as Plastic Man, as much sense as Matt Reeves' Batman, and all those things. Have one disconnected intentionally, have one connected intentionally. Have your cake, eat it too, have a good time. Gonna give you some comic recommendations. Now, I'm only gonna give you 3, but this is for the main 3. This is the Trinity of DC. Your Batman, your Superman, your Wonder Woman. I think the tone they should try to land with is with Batman, go with the new 52 Batman. Go with Scott Snyder's Batman. Lean into the Court of Owls flavor. Hell, do the Court of Owls story. I think that'd be a great first movie for this Batman. I know they might be doing Court of Owls, Matt Reeves' Batman, but I want to establish Gotham as somewhere near Metropolis, but not in Metropolis. I want them to establish Batman as a guy that's aware of the greater world around them, but that can also have his own independent movies. He needs to know Clark Kent's out there, but it doesn't need to be his every waking moment. For Wonder Woman, I would do the George Perez omnibus. This is a story of gods. This is a story of powerful women. This is a story of bounty. This book is gorgeous, and it's also who I see Diana Prince as, and I really think they need to establish Diana Prince in this world. We need, again, her to be her own character, but also be able to team up with these other very different worlds. And then lastly, I really think that Superman needs to be Superman. He needs to be the Boy Scout he is. He needs to be someone that knows his biggest flaw is that he can't save everyone. Superman is the most powerful creature on Earth, but it's physically impossible, even with super speed and super hearing, to hear everyone's cry for help and stop and save everything. I think Superman Red and Blue, Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, captures Superman's weakness isn't just kryptonite. It's the fact that he can't be everywhere, and that's really important. I want a Superman that feels like someone you can meet and look up to, but his inherent flaw is that he just can't do it all. I want Superman's burden to be that. Give me those. Those are your comic recommendations. Check them out. What do you guys think about my reboot in 2 universe idea? What do you think about keeping one universe darker and separate versus keeping one all tied together? What do you guys think about the reboot in general? And do you want a Crisis on Infinite Earths, bringing the TV shows, the movies together, bringing these actors back, having one big blowout and ending them? I want Henry Cavill back, at least one. Give me Superman back. All right, you lovelies, that's going to do it for this episode. I appreciate the hell out of each and every one of you. Leading to New Gods, Mr. Miracle Movie, Dark Universe. Give me that. All right, read some comics. I'll see you soon.